Real quick guys, before the video starts, leave a like and comment down below if you enjoyed this video, and do not forget to subscribe. Tons of you watch my content but aren't subbed yet. It's free and you can unsub at any time, but subbing really helps the channel. And finally, if you want to go above and beyond, check out my Patreon. Becoming a patron not only supports me, but helps to ensure I'll be able to put out new exciting content I otherwise couldn't. Anyways, back to the video. What's up YouTube? My name is Ghrei and I am here with a brand new kind of video for the year, and I know it's a bit far-fetched and quite sudden, but I figured, why not? Mandatory Pokepuns out of the way, I'm actually really excited to be presenting this video. The research took me a lot shorter than I thought it would, and I gotta thank my friend John for helping me figure out half of this stuff. And I wanted to personally thank Ghrei for being the first Patreon, which you should check out if you want more videos like this. These take a lot of time, and I need to work a full-time job for money otherwise, removing a lot of time I could be using for editing and recording these sorts of video projects. And one last quick note, I could easily be wrong about a lot of this stuff. I just kind of did it on a whim. I don't do this professionally. It's not something I'm necessarily good at. I just figured it'd make for a fun video. So yeah, again, if I get something wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments below, and enjoy the video. So, my friends and I were discussing Pokemon a couple days back. Specifically, they were discussing how creepy Hypno is as a Pokemon, and I was defending one of, if not my favorite psychic type. After some discussion about why they thought it was creepy, what with the hypnotizing and instances of kidnappings and such, the topic of Dream Eater, the Pokemon move, came up. As normal people do, we started talking about how a dream would taste. As an example, a wonderful fantasy dream could taste sweet and sugary, or a dream about watching my videos could taste exactly how a sewer smells. This led to the question of how a Hypno could taste a dream, based on the fact that it can't make it a physical object. Then we argued about how it actually physically eats dreams, and well, here we are. Now, the question of how Dream Eater would work is pretty vague and hard to cover all in one foul swoop. So, we're gonna break it down into 4 different questions. How Dream Eater works in a physical sense, what the two parties experience when Dream Eater is used, how many food calories a dream has to see if the Pokemon in question would get enough nutrition from someone to last them a reasonable amount of time, and how it would affect you physically and mentally to have your dreams eaten. For the sake of this video and simplicity, we'll assume the Pokemon using the move is Hypno, since Dream Eater is basically its signature move. The first thing we'll look at is the way Dream Eater would function in the real world. Looking at the move itself, specifically the move's category, we can see that it's not a physical attacking move, and isn't a contact move, which means it can't be done through touch. We also see that it has to be a form of energy transfer because the animation for it shows orbs of energy spewing out from the victim's head and being brought to the user. Thankfully, it's relatively clear that the orbs that Hypno is giving the suck to are orbs of light. That makes this a whole lot easier because we can assume that it turns the electric pulses in your brain into light energy, pulls it out of your brain, and eats the stuff, since it doesn't turn back into electricity or anything like that in the animation, and must stay as light energy, and, by extension, they must have some odd form of photosynthesis, which I won't get into in this video, mainly because it isn't the interesting and horrific part. But, to tell you about that, we first need to talk about something called REM sleep. Dreaming is something scientists still don't understand yet. Some people think they're memories from past lives. Others think it's your brain essentially defragging itself. And still others think it's merely mashing together your subconscious thoughts into a viscous stew and spoon-feeding it to your senses while you're asleep. No matter why we dream, it's undeniable that we do. The question we'll need the answer for is when we dream. The answer is literally any time while we're asleep, which makes life a lot tougher for me here. Or it would, if REM sleep didn't exist. REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep, is one of the 4 stages of sleep, and during a full night's rest, you fade into and out of it. In fact, there's a cycle that you go through every night, and you have multiple cycles per night. Stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 2 to stage 1 to REM. The reason we're only talking about REM sleep right now is because it's where your dreams are most vivid, most commonly. That would also mean that this time of your sleep cycle would be where Hypno would find your dreams the most quote-unquote ripe. Now that we know when Hypno is going to eat your dreams, we need to figure out how it'll gorge itself. The best answer that I could come up with myself was through your brain's electrical signals. See, little cells in your brain called neurons send electrical signals attached to chemical signals to other neurons to communicate. This is how you move, eat, act, live, and think. How you do anything, really. If your brain is active, then it's sending those signals through your neurons. And, as it happens, your brain is quite active while you dream, which means our Hypno-Pal has a form of energy he can convert into light, your neurons' electrical signals. Turning electricity into light. What does that remember? Oh yeah, a light bulb! I have to admit that the user of Dream Eater being able to turn your brain into one of Edison's great scientific advancements is going to have to be chalked up to the mystic powers of Pokemon who can wield this move, because I have no clue how that would work. But, to answer the question, when you get hit with a Dream Eater, the Pokemon essentially turns your brain into a glorified lamp. Not only that, if it's messing with your brain's neurons firing, it could cause a lot of damage. But we'll get to that later. We still want to know what would happen to both parties in this experience, right? The boring part is going to be on the person's end. To them, it would simply seem like they didn't dream the previous night, since their dream was simply yoinked out of their cranium. It is implied through Hypno's and Drowsy's dex entries that the person can remember they dreamt, but can't remember the dream, which is a common occurrence anyways. No, the more interesting part would be what Hypno would go through. To make this a bit more interesting, I looked through all of it and its pre-evolution Drowsy's Pokedex entries, and I determined one entry that should still hypothetically ring true for Drowsy after it evolves. As a side note, Drowsy's dex entries seem a lot more interesting than Hypno's. The Pokedex entry says that it seems that bad dreams taste sour. This is extremely interesting because it means that light has flavor to these Pokemon. And surprisingly, this sort of thing can happen to humans too. It's a mental condition known as synesthesia. People who have this are able to do odd things like smell sounds, hear scents, or taste colors. Two or more of their senses are intertwined with each other, which give them such a unique perception of the world around them. If Drowsy and Hypno can taste dreams, and they taste them in the form of light, it means that they would have to combine their senses of taste and sight. So, we know Hypno turns your brain into a moth's wet dream and drains your brain dry while you sleep, going full plant to slurp up your savory dreams. But what would happen to you if your brain and head became a light bulb? How would it affect you physically? Before we discuss the whole light bulb implication, let's discuss all the other reasons that this is just so messed up first. Hypno is taking your brain's electrical signals while you sleep straight from the signals sent between neurons. No signals means no function, and no function means you are brain dead. Officially dead. Let's assume, for argument's sake, that it would know not to drain your vital signals, and it knew where and what those were for all humans. It could still affect your senses, especially sight or sound. It could mess up your memory severely. Hell, it could cause permanent brain damage in any area associated with REM sleep or dreams. Even setting that aside and assuming it can prevent any brain damage done by taking those electrical signals with surgical precision, we still have a problem in the form of heat. Ever notice how light bulbs get extremely hot to the touch after being turned on for a while? Yeah, that would be the point in your forehead where Hypno is drawing out the light. That isn't all. The wire in the bulb, or the filament, can get up to 4,600 degrees Fahrenheit. Seeing as your brain and or skull would have to act as a filament, you would essentially be flash fried inside and out. That cloud of pink stuff in the air around the Pokemon's head when the move is used? Odds are that's Game Freak censoring the hole that is now burned in that Pokemon's head. But even setting aside all of that, as unlikely as it would be to have zero negative effects from your entire head being used as a glorified energy converter, then there's still the issue of that 20% of calories being brought to your brain not being used for its intended purpose. More than likely, your body would use more energy to try and give your brain what it needs to work in the right ways, and Hypno would most definitely take advantage of that fact, taking all of the spare energy being used until your dream is over. And this would most likely result in absolutely horrible, non-restful sleep. And when you don't have restful sleep, it can negatively impact your immune system and body health. It takes away your ability to focus, and by extension, can make everyday scenarios like walking upstairs, walking downstairs, or even just driving more dangerous. It will also negatively affect your mood, possibly making you feel unmotivated and depressed. Odds are, you'll try to sleep again right away. And if Hypno is still there and still hungry, it'll make your sleep more unrestful by eating your dreams again. It'll make you get caught in a horrid cycle of restless sleep. And while it is believed that a lack of good sleep can't kill you, it'll certainly make you wish it could before driving you insane. Even if this isn't the case, and it only gives you poor sleep without making it worse every time around, you'll be stuck feeling like you got hit by a bus all day, every day, until it decides to move on to the next poor victim. As horrific as this is, it is also a lot of work. So to be effectively eating dreams, Hypno has to get a lot of nutrition out of them. But exactly how many food calories is Hypno getting per dream? Let's find out! So, to figure this out, we need to assume several things. So I'll go through this part pretty fast because it's a lot of info. First, we have to assume that your brain uses 20% of the calories you burn while you sleep. Secondly, we're going to ignore the rest of the brain's functions and focus on that 20% going fully towards your electrical signals just for the ease of this problem. Next, we're going to assume that the average adult burns 500 calories in one night's sleep. There are multiple variables, notably age and gender, that play a role in the amount of calories you burn while you sleep, but I figure 500 calories is a fair estimate, if not on the higher end of things. Next, we know REM sleep takes up about 25% of your sleep, and dreams are spread out throughout 20 to 25% of your time spent sleeping, so to make life a lot easier, we'll assume you dream for the entire time you're in REM sleep, so about 25% of your night. In addition, the time the individual is going to be asleep is a total of 8 hours, the average recommended time spent sleeping. Then, since REM sleep uses more energy than the other 3 phases of sleep, we're going to give a generous estimate of 35% of calories being burned while in REM sleep. Finally, we're going to assume perfect energy conversion because this is a fully evolved entity from a kid's game, and I'll be damned if it conforms to the 10% rule of the normal world's food chain. Woo! So, now that we've established all of that, we just need to do some simple math to figure out how many calories are in one night's sleep. And, keep in mind, this is assumed to be perfect energy conversion. That means any calories you burn via your brain while you're dreaming will ultimately be how many calories Hypno gets from eating said dream. 500 calories a night multiplied by 0.35 gives us 175 calories during REM sleep. Then, since the brain only uses 20%, or 0.2 times the number of calories at a given time, we multiply 175 by 0.2, and we get 35 food calories. That's nothing! Hypno could eat a large chicken egg and get more than 2 people's full night's worth of dreams in calories. Not only that, but you dream between 4 and 10 times a night on average. So assuming the average of 7, that gives each dream about 5 calories. For reference, you could get more calories from a cup of damn arugula than from an entire dream. The average man burns 68 calories sitting on the couch and watching television for an hour. With Hypno's humanoid figure, height, weight, and age being equivalent to the level it evolves at, it would need nearly 2,000 calories to maintain its weight, with minimal or no exercise. That means it would need to drain the dreams of 56 people just to get its daily intake. And if we want to be realistic, using the 10% rule, it would need to drain 560 different people in just 24 hours to get its daily intake, and that's not counting out perfect energy conversion. If we took out perfect energy conversion, it would be even more people a night, probably going into the thousands. Hypno wouldn't do this for food, it does this for its own sick, twisted means. No wonder everyone's afraid of Hypno. It eats the dreams of everyone it comes across, which means every person who comes across a Hypno is exposed to this fresh hell. And not only that, the cycle I mentioned earlier, one of its dex entries states that it can put anyone to sleep in just 3 seconds. that means it can indefinitely cause this hellish loop of unrest for you. Ultimately, Hypno is a sadistic, maniacal Pokemon who only drains your dreams for its own twisted reasons, and not for anything like nutrition. But it's still one of my favorite Psychic-type Pokemon. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video was really fun to make, but it took a good amount of work to do. I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to check out my Patreon and other videos to support me so I can make more content like this. See y'all in the next one, you beautiful people. Goodbye!